Hello and welcome to Core Finance. I am Matt Brown. This is the CEO slot, and I'm joined today by Enrico Cesenni, who is CEO and founder of Myanmar Strategic Holdings, who have IPO today, so listed on the London stock market. How are you today, Enrico?
Very good, thank you.
Well, I can imagine a very busy day, so thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, floated on the market, can you just talk us through what your company does, where you operate, and how you make your money, basically?
Sure. As the name says, Myanmar Strategic Holdings is a company operating in Myanmar. Is operating in consumer sectors such as hospitality and education, with the vision of creating a company that gives exposure to investors to the growth of the Myanmar market, but also more specifically to the growth in disposable income and discretionary spending. In terms of the sector we cover, we started with hospitality, and we have 4 boutique hostels across Bagan, Mandalay, and Inle Lake, which are 3 out of the 4 main destinations in Myanmar. And then we operate schools under the brand Wall Street English, which is a franchise from Pearson, where we have a school in Yangon, and we open a second one in November. We make money from management fees from the hotels and the schools. So effectively, we operate and manage all these businesses successfully.
Fantastic. And so the hospitality is, as you say, hotels, and this is Myanmar is a destination now for the travellers. It's certainly has opened up over the years. So do you see a growth now in the hospitality business?
Correct. When we started in 2000, the market in 2011 had about 1 million tourists, and last year had 4.7 million tourists. So there has been like an exponential growth as the country gets more connected across Southeast Asia by plane, and on the border countries such as China or Thailand by bus. In general, the country had a shortage of hotels, so effectively there is an opportunity to build the hotel offering across the different price points. The large brands have already come in, so you get Marriott, Kempinski, Sheraton, Shangri-La, but there is a great opportunity to cover the lower end of the market. So the kind of people who would come in with Ryanair, with the likes of Jetstar, Tiger Airways, and so on. So our product is effectively boutique hostels. So it's a contemporary setting where people share rooms, but also private rooms, and where you have like a very busy F&B concept downstairs, where people spend time knowing each other, doing activities, and so on.
Fantastic. And then you mentioned the educational side. So just talk us through, and the type you have with, is it Wall Street Education?
Wall Street English, correct.
English, sorry.
Our Wall Street English concept is a company that was started in 1972, actually in Italy, and is currently owned by Pearson in the UK. It is focusing on English language for adults only, and it uses a blended learning methodology whereby you have certain activities that you do on a computer, on your phone, but also certain activities that you do in class or with a teacher, what they call teacher encounters. The reason why we decided to build up the education offering was to really build up the soft infrastructure of the country. People are focused so much on the hard one, but there's also like a big soft infrastructure that needs to be built with people learning how to communicate to the rest of the world. There are a lot of technical skills, but they're still missing the skills to communicate with the rest of the world. It is, I guess, a retail product in a way, similar to a gym where people subscribe for a certain period of time, and during that period they can consume as much education as they want.
So floated on the London Stock Exchange. Obviously that brings in capital to the company, one of the benefits of floating. So first off, why London? I guess there is a Burma connection maybe with London. Some viewers will remember the country being called Burma. And also, what do you expect to do with all this capital?
Well, in terms of why the connection to London, I guess the UK and European investors have been very committed to Myanmar over the years. And a good portion of my investors are either from the UK or European. Furthermore, I would say that in the future there is an opportunity to build a strong institutional base starting from the UK, because most of the frontier funds are still based in the UK. In terms of the use of funds, we're really looking to grow our hospitality and education platform. And we have a fourth hotel opening in Bagan in October, with the second school opening in Yangon in November. And we are looking to expand further both platforms. We appointed CEOs, one for hospitality called Daphne Yuen, who comes from Thailand. She used to work for TCC, a big conglomerate managing 1.5 billion of real estate portfolio for the TCC. And we hired Mark Nussom to be the CEO for Wall Street English Myanmar. Before Mark used to be the CEO for Wall Street English Thailand. So we have a fairly experienced set of professionals who are really there to help us grow these two sectors across Myanmar.
And you talk about experienced professionals, and above the people managing the separate parts of the business, the board as well. There's a lot of experience on the board. Can you just briefly talk us through the experience of the board?
Correct. We felt it was we felt the listing brings I guess some liquidity and definitely transparency. So it was very important for us to have a board, with two non-executives who have been living in Asia for a long time. The board is chaired by Richard Greer, who lived for almost 18 years in Japan, working for Barings, and then came back to the UK working for Commerzbank. And Christopher Clark, who is a lawyer, worked in Hong Kong and China for almost 30 years. The other executive on the board, together with myself, is a person called Dennis Yeo. Dennis used to be the head of finance for Heineken, who did in Myanmar. So he has a lot of experience in Myanmar and he's based there.
So Enrico, a question for you. How does your business impact the local economy?
We are, I guess, very connected with the local economy and the local ecosystem. A case study, for example, is in Bagan, where we opened our first hotel. We calculated that our business brings over $1 million to the village in services where we don't get involved. So these are services that the locals sell directly to our guests, such as bicycle rental, restaurants, small gifts, and so on. We feel that it's very important for us to be a strong supporter of this ecosystem, because that's the reason why we're going to be invited to come and build more hotels across Myanmar.
And finally, over the next 12 months, how do you expect Myanmar Strategic Holdings to expand and grow?
Well, I guess from a macro perspective, we are blessed by the fact that Myanmar keeps on growing, and there is a strong push, from China and from ASEAN to keep on growing. So we will be lifted in a way by the general macro environment around us. In terms of the way we plan to grow is focus on the sectors where we build strong foundation, so hospitality and education, but also start looking at opportunities to grow our business exponentially. So potential acquisition within these two sectors or outside these sectors.
And for investors, the stock ticker is?
SHWE, SHWE.
So check that out. Enrico, thank you very much for joining us today. Enrico is the CEO of Myanmar Strategic Holdings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.